Hi everyone and welcome. It's good to be back again. Today I wanted to go over Enoch. I've got on the screen here, I've got the regular Enoch that most people have read. I just wanted to read a little bit off the very beginning of chapter 1 to show how it's applicable to those in the generation at the end of the age, which is us. So here it goes. The word of the blessing of Enoch. How he blessed the elect and the righteous, who were to exist in the time of trouble, rejecting all the wicked and ungodly. So, rejecting the wickedness in this world at the moment is righteousness. However, going along with it is not. And the saying where Christ says, those who seek to save their lives will lose it, and those who lose it will preserve it. It's not saying those that seek to save their lives by rejecting the jab are going to lose it. That's not what it's saying at all. It's saying those that seek to save their lives by doing what the government and so on tell them will lose it. So what he's trying to say here is, at the end of the age, the elect are the ones that wake up and reject the powers that be in their ungodliness. Enoch, a righteous man, who was with God, answered and spake while his eyes were open, while he saw a holy vision in the heavens, and the angel showed me. From them I heard all things, and understood what I saw, that which will not take place in this generation, but the generation which is to succeed at a distant period, on the account of the elect. And we know that the two witnesses likely be the Jews and the Christians, and the elect will be the third dispensation, which, if you follow Robert Farrell's channel, you'll know it's those that are getting to learn the Apocrypha and the rejected scriptures. And all the keys, once you know it all and you read it all, you'll start finding the keys and the mysteries within. But today I didn't want to read this Enoch. I wanted to read this Enoch, the book that I've had for well over 10 years. And before I do that, and I won't be able to get through the whole lot today, so it might be 2 or 3 parts this Enoch's series. But anyway, this book was written by the man on the screen, Edward Keneally, and he lived about 200 years ago. And this story makes him to be a bit of a nut, and it talks about how he was a lawyer but called himself a doctor, and that he had the record once upon a time of the longest court case on earth, or at least in the United Kingdom, that went on for over 6 months, because he spent the whole time telling the judge off and the witness, the jurors and everything. But as crazy as it is, I still want to read this book today, because there's stuff in there it's really, really inspirational. And I don't know, because in the book he talks about he was the high point of 3 secret societies as well. Now, I'm not saying that's a good thing to talk about and to admit, but being in that position, he might have been able to access the keys that were locked away from the regular people. So when I go through this book, you understand what I mean. And when you read enough scripture, you can kind of tell if something is divine or not, or divinely inspired or not. And there are parts in here where I somewhat question that, but there's a lot of parts in here that I've read clearly in other places. So in the back of the book, it does explain. So I'm telling you all this because I want you to all use your own discernment as well. But anyway, in the epilogue it says, Dr. Keneally was often asked what evidence he had shown that his Enoch, the Book of God, was a genuine original, and by what authority he claimed its authenticity. His preferred response was to throw the questions back at the reader and ask if they could not intuitively recognise the hand of God in its contents. In other words, each reader must decide for himself if it bears the hallmark of a devilish impostor, or whether, as an enlightened soul, a reader can detect for himself whether the sublime contents of this book came directly through a messianic messenger, or are simply faked by some cunning individual or group of individuals. So use your own discernment when I do start reading this. I'll put some fireplace on, so the screen's not so bad. Sorry. I don't normally put adverts on. Sorry that there's an advert on my video. But I was listening to Robert Farrell last night, actually, on one of his videos about explaining about the parabanalia, the parabanalia way about Scripture, and it's very interesting. And there's something that I've always wondered. I'll just do this quick drawing so you can see quickly, but so can you see? That's a really basic, terrible drawing, but basically if you've got frequencies that actually grow the same amount and fit within the entire whole, so say that's 7,000 long, you could have a 7,000 year cycle. You could have smaller cycles that fit within the 7,000 years, and so on and so on, and they all fit within each other. Now, in this world, we're taught how to understand dimensions is, as you know, 2D, 3D, 4D, and it grows outwards. But if we look at a sense of understanding of that, of how things can fit within things, then the parabanalia, the whole big 7,001 cycle that I just showed, that would be the parable of the whole book. And then all the smaller parts in it are the smaller parables, and all the parables fit within the bigger parables that also fit within the bigger parables to the very big parable. Sorry if that's confusing. Excuse me. But that's what I was trying to get at. It was a picture that was in my mind last night I wanted to share. So anyway, this book, the Book of Enoch, has about 120 pages that I'm going to read that are Enoch, and then it also has half a book of that Dr. Keneally explaining and justifying his stuff about this book. So it's got things like the awakening of Enoch, vision of the past, vision of the impending, son of the heavenly signs, lights of the glories, vision of 10. And then goes into the first psalm, which is the judgment of God, uniformity of natural law. And then in the second psalm, visions of the valley of sin, and so on. In the third psalm, vision of the magnet, vision of the Son of Man. Yeah, so I'll start with chapter 1, and I'll go as long as I can, but like I say, I'm not going to be able to read the 120 pages today in one video. And I'll try not to put my opinion forward, but there are places that I will. So anyway, here we go. Chapter 1, the awakening of Enoch. In the flame of God, the merciful, the gracious, slow to punish. Sorry, in the name of God, not the flame of God. Slow to punish, and of great compassion and holiness. This book of Enoch the prophet. May the blessing of God be with that man who loves him forever and ever. Amen. Irad, the son of Mahaga, built himself a palace with fair gardens and a temple also, and he raised it on 1,000 columns, each 300 cubits high. The wild bull guarded its porches. And in the centre, Irad raised a golden image, the face of a man, the neck of a lion, the body of a bull, an eagle's wings. And Irad gave command throughout the whole country that all should come and worship the image, the likeness of his God. And the watchers of the night came with their wives, and with their children, and their slaves also. So just so you're aware, this happened before the flood. So Irad would have been someone like representing like the Antichrist might be in these times. Irad was that person in them times before the flood, but not to the whole world, as it said here. It was just to his country. Anyway, carrying on. The watchers of the night came with their wives and their children, and their slaves also. They did homage to the idol, and they forgot the first. And multitudes flocked together from east and west, and the cave dwellers, they who lived on fish and reptiles, and drank blood, and fed on the marrow of lions, and the serpent eaters, and those who lived on canes and locusts, and on raw flesh. And they who slept in trees, and on rafts, and hunted beasts, and destroyed birds, and those who lived on ostriches, and dog's milk, and tortoises, and the flesh of even men, all gathered themselves unto the king's temple, and bowed before the image of their sovereign's God. Bless, O song, O sun, thou mighty star of the seven heavens. Oh, another thing I want to bring out is this book is filled with referring to the sphere and the spheres of the earth and stuff. The spheres of the earth obviously would be referring to the stars in the sky, but it does talk about sphere a lot, and me being a flat earther, it's something I yet need to comprehend the understanding of it, of what he's trying to represent, whether it's a mistranslation by the author or a purpose mistranslation, accidentally or intentional, I don't know. Or maybe it's meant to be there and I've just not got the understanding of what it's trying to get at just yet. Who swayest the spheres of the earth through the immensity of boundless space? O resplendent, O universally shining one, who rulest the tracks of light, to whom mortals look with joy. O universal glory, thou hast gracious, thou supreme Father. May my inspired soul praise thee. May the music of my thought sing thy brightness. Thou art sovereign light, whose glorious image shines ever above me. To thee heroes pray, nor do their prayers arise in vain. The east is glad with thine arising glory, fair is thy meridian splendour. And when thou settest in the shining west, still we look on thee with love and praise. And it was night, and it came to pass that I, Enoch, alone in the temple. Before I just read that bit there, it ended with everyone bowing down in the temple to the idol, and then as it ended that prayer, it talks of Enoch, so being in that foul temple. So I'm not sure I don't think it was Enoch that said that prayer, but that prayer was how the others gave homage to the idol. And it was night, and it came to pass that I, Enoch, was alone in the temple, and I contemplated the image. And a tempest arose, thunders and waves of lightnings, and the moan of winds, and the dome of the temple was rent, and the whirl and the rains rushed in. And behold, a flash, and it rolled down like a god, and grappling the image, it smote it from head to foot, and dashed it into fragments. Of crowns of jewels was broken, its sceptre was in ruin. It laid as it lies, a blackened corpse. It was stricken into small pieces, and the rain roared and buffeted its remnants. And when I saw the image dashed to earth, I said, is this the God we worship? A God, the slave of chance and of the elements. He cannot foresee the storm. He cannot ward away the stroke of ruin. In his house he is helpless. He lies at the mercy of the messengers of air. But I, whither shall I betake myself? And why should I yield up my soul and spirit to what is not? Thou, who art in fire, teach me thy mysteries. Fill me with divine inspiration. Bathe me in the streams of light, ancient of days. Clothe me with the serene moon of wisdom. Illuminate my soul, that deep ocean, till in its darkest depths it feels thy splendour. I am alone and ever lonely. I feel myself a wandering, helpless spirit. Death on this side, death on that, the cloud of desolation ever present. In vain do I uplift me to the ancient. In my prayer have I sought him for ever and ever. But no answer doth he give me. Never once have he spoken. Visions enter my soul. But I seek the vision of the Supreme. When wilt thou give it to me, O Father? When shall I see thee in the temple? Then shall I pass away with full content, when I know that thou hast heard me, when the sound of the eternal harp has bathed my soul in tears. Lights and gleams and dreams and words from the starry heaven, and visions over the veiled eye. the pineal gland. The presence of ethereal essences, fiery lights, flashes of flame, a waving sea of stars, a magnet trance, an awakening soul and spirit. Magnets in the days of Enoch. And I departed from that place, and passed over the river. I bowed no longer to the stone upon its banks. The stars shone through the darkness, but I kissed not my hand to them. I lifted up my spirit to the One. I sought counsel and strength from him. Hear, O heaven, and give ear, O earth, all ye children of beauty, hear. Better is to be forsaken of all men than to be made their king by joining in their vices. To God alone be glory. The night departs, darkness is scattered. The morning brings back light. Reverence be unto the Supreme. Let none share praise with him. O God, let us give thee thanks, in the night and in the morning, under the stars and under the sun, for all thy benefits to mortals. And I saw a virgin more beautiful than the sun. She spake, and she smiled upon me, and she said, Come, for so thou art commanded. And she led me to a wilderness. No tree was in it, in that solitary place. And I saw a virgin, wrong bit. And when it was night, the virgin drawing forth a robe, made of it a tent. And she went in and laid her down, and beaconed to me, and she was as a rainbow. But I heeded not. I lay on the sand, and stars shone over me. Then again she beaconed to me, saying, Thou art faint with hunger. Wilt thou not have food? And I answered, Yes. And she showed me a lamb straying, and she said, Rise, kill and eat. But I answered, Nay, I would rather die of hunger. This lamb belongeth not to me, and her owner have lost. And peradventure now seeketh after her. Why should I steal? Better it is to die. And the stars shone over me, but over her tent I saw a rainbow shine. So as you tend to the spirit, your light increases. And when it was morning, she rose and went her way. She smiled, and I followed. Feeble I was, yet I murmured not. We wandered over a wilderness, and when it was evening, lo, a bottle of water. And the virgin said, Take drink. But I said, Nay, some traveller has dropped it. Peradventure he may come back and die if he can't find it. And when it was night, she drew forth her robe, and made of it a tent. And she went in and laid her down, and beaconed to me. But I heeded not, and looked not on her. I lay upon the sand until the morning blush. And I saw a fountain of pure water, cold as the moonlight, and a date tree full of fruit. And I called to the virgin within the tent, but she answered me not. The fading stars alone seemed to be speaking to me. And I said, O daughter, hast thou no word for me? And who art thou so enwrapped in mystery? 2 days have we journeyed over this desert, and thou hast not broken once thy fast. Yet still thou bloomest like the rose, and thy brightness is like the moon in her 15th day. So the full moon being on the 15th day of the month. And now, when God has offered food, lo, thou wilt not take thereof. Then the virgin said to me, Enoch, I am the spirit of thy spirit. I have seen, and I have tried, and I have proved thee. Now do I depart. And she left me, and I was alone and weary in the mountains. And the stars spake to me, and light entered my heart, and I seemed to pass over the waters of the great sea, and I was in a dream. O thou beautiful, come upon the winds, glide over the waters, sink into my soul. Let the sun of thy bright face shine in lustre over me. What am I? What am I? Sin is like a shroud around me, a man among evil men, with thoughts of evil in my nature. Can I go unto the children of the land and say to them, Follow me? Her face of sunbeams glittered, even so it was ordained. Chapter 2, A Vision of the Past. But before I do actually, so, as I've been saying in previous videos, we need to become sovereign by rejecting the sins of this world and getting out of Babylon by declaring yourself a sovereign and going through that process. But on top of that, that's not likely going to be enough to stop Satan from chasing people. You know, that's going to work. It's going to get people out of the system, get them out of Babylon. But then, as you know, in Revelation, the dragon goes after the woman, although the woman gets taken to the wilderness on two great wings. But it's not the end. They will still come. And the whole point of this age wasn't to come down here and to try and live in the midst of evil and get along with the wicked ones, although that's part of what we're doing. It's to come down here and to rebuke the evil and to take on persecution and punishment for the sake of God, for the name of the Lord. So even though we could all go and reject this Babylonian system and get out of it and go and stay in wilderness places or in fields or woods or whatever, they'll still come after us. The wicked ones will still want their power, and at that point it's where Christ is expecting us to take on the persecution for his good name. That's how I see it anyway. Getting back to it, chapter 2, a vision of the past. There was a veil lifted from above my head, and this, I imagine, is how it'll be when Christ returns. All his people will see him, and the veil will be lifted, and so we will be like him because we will see him as he is, because we are like him. So anyway, there was a veil lifted from above my head. My spirit saw the past and the revolutions of the past. A city splendid with gold and marble, with stately towers, palaces and temples. And I said unto one who guarded the gates, Friend, how long have stood this noble city? And he said, This city have always stood. Its years are without number, and will stand forever. Then rolled a cloud over me, and I passed onward. And when 1,000 years were gone, I came again to the way and sought the city, but I found no remnant of this mighty splendour. I saw only a desert. There was no herbage, nor any fountain, dry and burned dust and sand. I saw a wanderer, and I said to him, O friend, where is that noble city? He answered, saying, This wilderness have stood forever, and will stand forever. There is no city, neither have been, but all is desert, as thou seest. Then rolled a cloud over me, and I passed onward. And when 1,000 years were gone, I came again that way and sought the desert. But the desert was no more. A vast forest of woodland covered all the plains and mountains, and there were men felling trees, and there were hunters following game. One reclined beneath a mighty tree, and I said to him, My friend, answer thou me, how long have this majestic forest filled the place of the departed desert? He said, This forest have always been here, forever and ever, yea, even from the birth of time. And unto the end will it flourish greenly. There is no desert, nor hath there ever been. This is a primeval forest. Then rolled a cloud over me, and I passed onward. And when 1,000 years were gone, I came again to the way, and sought the forest. But I saw tents and smiling plains, and shepherds with their flocks and herds, and children playing among the flowers. I said to one, white with years, O venerable father of many, how long have these fields produced fruit, blooming sweetly for men and cattle? He answered, saying, They have produced fruit from the very first moment of the world. I told him of the forest, but he heeded not. He said, There have been no forest here. These plains have always borne food, abundantly for the shepherd tribes. Then rolled a cloud over me, and I passed onward. And then when 1,000 years were gone, I came again that way, and sought the tents. But there were no tents, nor any trace of life. But in their place I saw an ocean, rolling with great billows. And on the ocean was a boat, and a solitary man was on the boat. And I said to him, Where are the tents, the green fields, and the smiling shepherd tribes? He said, Thou dreamest, there are no fields, nor have there ever been in this ocean. But from the first have these waves rolled over the boundless depths of the beneath. They shall roll forever and ever, unchanged and mighty as they now be. So that's kind of like how we go through our resets, where we fill the cities and we make them active with people, and then we turn them into desolations through, well, we don't, but the people ruling, that are making the resets for their own wicked powers and gains. But you know, things do go in forever cycles, and we do live in a universe where things can be recycled forever if we weren't so pollutive and destructive. If we, you know, if we said no to this stuff, like just a quick one, totally off topic, but the E10 that you get in your fuel now, that E10, E5 and E10, that ethanol, is intended to destroy your engines so that by 2030 no petrol or diesel cars will exist. And it works very quickly, and apparently for the same amount of fuel, say you might be able to go 100 miles on one tank of fuel with fuel a year ago, using this E5 and E10 fuel now, you would only go about just over half the distance you would have been able to do. So it's a lot less efficient, and it corrodes all the metal in your engines through the pipes and parts of the engine. So yeah, so things go in cycles if they're treated and used naturally. So here we go. The tree, chapter 3, a vision of the impending. Then was my soul enwrapped. My spirit was transformed in mists and clouds. Gleams passed before me. Dims formed, beaconed, and airy voices whispered in mine ear. I heard, as it were, the sounds of waterfalls and many instruments of music. And after these silence, as of a starry night, and silence that spake. Like a tree stricken by lightnings, like a tower blasted by the stroke of heaven, like a ship wasted by the waters. Even so was my spirit. The ocean stretched afar, like the dim form of eternity, a spreading wilderness of many waters, a vast and boundless space. Bright and many-coloured were the gleams and flashes that came like swans over the ocean, or as eagles with fiery wings, or as the flame-pinioned seraphim. Every peak seemed bearded with light. Every pine and oak a pillar of fire, and angel voices sang, Here comes, the Great One comes. Summon now the sacred congregation, the dwellers by the dark seas. Let them fly to welcome the King, the descendant of the star-clothed. O wave, thou wave of flame, what sayest thou unto my soul? The wave arose, it stood, it spake, Stand thou not in my presence, within my mountain cave I fell prostrate. My lips touched the crystal stream, the mountains rolled in clouds, the waters whirled in darkness. A light, a flash, a quivering glory, wrapped me in an eddy, E-D-D-Y. I was borne by the mountain eagles into the dark place. Hymns of beauty resounded. My spirit was enfolded in a trance. The firebirds of flashing splendour fitted round, but silence was supreme. For 3 days, for 3 nights, and for 3 courses of the stars, for 3 marches of the rolling storms, rest and pray in this solitude. I know the numbers of the shining host, of the mystical Quain, it's spelled O-U-E-I-N, Son of fire, voice of wisdom, know that God is one. Adore thou the supreme ruler, the Lord of sapphire belt. The mountains answered, know that God is one. And I heard the waves saying, As are the leaves of trees, so are the generations of men. The city fades, and the desert grows. The wilderness itself is swept away in time, and the forest takes its place. And the plain gives way to waters, and the waters themselves are turned and dried up. In turn are dried up. So are the generations of mortals. They live, they die, and are no more. I saw 4 ages: the age of air, the age of water, the age of fire, and the age of earth. These passed before me. Then spake the serpent with the lion's head, Behold, I do reveal unto thee wisdom. I have shown thee powers of heaven. I have guided thee in the pathway of the gods. Destruction is but the prelude to renewal. Death is but the portal to life. Even truth also must be made new. Behold, I saw in heaven in a blaze of purity, and I saw the earth absorbed into an abyss. The rolling sphere inclined. The moment of destruction was at hand. Mountains suspended over mountains, hills sinking upon hills. Lofty trees toppled headlong. They sank downwards into chasms. My voice faltered. I cried and spake. Lo, the earth, it is destroyed. Sorry, I don't need to cut in yet again. But being that we're on a plane, a flat earth of some sort, basically when the rock falls from heaven and destroys the earth, it's going to put a hole in the table, and parts of the earth are going to fall into the chasm, and you're going to have mountains rolling over the top of mountains, falling down into that hole, if that makes sense. Anyway, carrying on. It hath passed like a falling meteor. Then did he raise me up. Why dost thou lament, son of my soul? I spake as I had seen. I revealed the vision. He said, What thou hast witnessed shall come to pass. Thine is a vision of the true. Destruction is at hand. The earth shall sink. Yet now arise, pray to the Lord of spirits, that he may spare, that the race of mortals die not. When the bolt descends from heaven, Lord of all the creatures in the heavens, King of kings, God of the world. Blessed art thou, O Lord, the King, great and powerful in thy majesty. Thy reign, thy kingdom, thy thrones of light endure forever and ever. And the heavens are thy seat, and the earth thy footstool through the ages. For thou hast made them, and over all thou reignest. There is no act which is beyond thy power. With thee is wisdom without change. She abideth ever near the throne, and in thy presence. Thou knowest things. Thou seest and hearest all things. There is not anything concealed from thee, for thou perceivest clearly. The spirits of thy heavens have transgressed. On the mortal flesh shall thy judgment fall. When the order of things throughout the universe have grown old and feeble and decayed, thou speakest, thy word leaps forth. Behold, a new beauty, they are restored as a noble tree when the winter passes, puts forth the glory of its strength. Even so, perpetually renewed, is that mighty palm, the universe. So when I've talked in the past about there being 1,000 ages of man in this world, this universe, and that from glory to glory, God will renew the world at the end of every age and make it brighter and more glorious than the former. So being the case, the first age of man would have been the darkest. I don't know. I think this may be the second age of man from Adam to now, but there could have been more. I'm not too sure. But as the next age comes along, God's chosen people will be brighter, and obviously those that didn't put their faith in God or believe in him, they will have to go through the cycles of renewal again in the form of physical life. Grant thou the prayer that I pray. May followers be given to thy word on earth. May the whole human race not perish. That the sphere of man may not be lonely. That an ever-abiding destruction prevail not. Or if indeed the sons of evil perish, let a righteous and upright race come, who shall establish their posterity forever. O Lord, hide not thy face, as from blazing fire when the winds blow, sparks and flashes perpetually ascend. Even so, from the central light perpetually goes forth. And he said, Son of my soul, look thou on this book, which heaven has distilled as if in dew, and reading that which is written therein, understand thou every part of. Then did I look upon it, and I understood the varied works of man, and of all the children of flesh upon the earth throughout the successive generations. And I blessed the Lord, King of glory, the worker of the workmanship of the world. And I glorified the Lord because of his long endurance, and of his blessings given to the children. I arose, I prayed, I wept. I went forth, I looked on high. I saw the sun walking in splendour. The stars of twilight, were scattered. Then I was aware of another voice, the voice of the silver-headed, the supremely fair of the spheres, with the varied rainbow of the thrones, a foam of eddying light about the head, a river of flowing fire beneath the feet. Out of the mist lightning flashes, darkness, whirlwind, and silences. He who would pass... Oh, bugger. Alright, I'll have to sort that out and carry on in a sec. Oh, and here we go again. Sorry about that. Then I was aware of another voice. The voice of the silver-headed, the supremely fair of the spheres, with the varied rainbow of the thrones, a foam of eddying light around the head, a river of flowing fire beneath the feet. Out of the mist, lightning flashes, darkness, whirlwind, and silences. He who would pass into the celestial circle, who would cross the boundary of fire, as a silver arrow shooting through the midst, as a note of music from the harp. Lo, I say to thee, his pure white essence, if it have one tinge of even a shadow of darkness, shall sink and perish in that stream. So that, from my understanding, would be the firmament. So when the soul has passed on and it goes before the Father for judgment, it goes up through the firmament, and being a fourth form of water, I believe he's just explained how the spirit goes through it or doesn't go through it if there's a tinge of darkness in it. And when we see potentially like comets running over the firmament, the green lights or whatever that you see on people's cams, like in Russia and stuff, over the past few years, we've seen a lot of them. They potentially be the souls that can't break through the firmament, so they have to come back down. Anyway, the weight of a hair shall draw it down. The king, the slave, the beggar by the way, are equal all upon the riverbank. God giveth unto every man a reward equivalent to his work. The sovereign on earth is not a sovereign in heaven. He who has begged, begs not in the spiritual. All are on the same level, and unto each shall his meed be presented. A monarch sought to pass. He was hurled into infinite space. The monarch's lowliest servant came. He passed on wings of light into the angelic sphere. Chapter 4. The Sun and the Heavenly Signs. This is a record of the revolutions of the heavenly lights, according to their classes, powers, periods, names, and places on their birth, and their successive months, as the shining angel did reveal them. This shall be the order during the ages of ages, until a new cycle shall arise. And this indeed is the first law of the Luminaries. The sun and light arrive at the gates of heaven, which are in the bright east, and thence they travel onward to the gates of heaven that lie westward. So once again, bear with me. Once again, when we look at the map, as I've done in the past, in that angle, so you've got Africa at the bottom, America on the left, and Australia on the right. When you look at it like this, the furthest east of the earth is here, so New Zealand, Australia. So the gates of the sun coming up over the east would be coming round from Australia way, and then setting in the west, which is over by America. And then the 7 hours of night that it explains in the book of Enoch, where the sun dims and goes through to the other end, to the other gate, to start the cycle again. That's when it's there. And if you look at Antarctica, people that have taken 24-hour sunlight footage in the north area, I don't think they were quite in the pole area, they were somewhere north Greenland. But when you watch the sun on some of these videos, what it does is it does a D shape in a form. It kind of looks like it's doing a D shape, where as the sun gets closer to the camera on that footage that you might find, it rises up in the sky. And then as it passes by, it goes down. You can say, yeah, that's because they're not in the dead center. But where they were probably wasn't too far from the center to enable to see the actual 24-hour sunlight. So I don't know, but I'm wondering if possibly if there is a D-shaped circuit in the sun. Anyway, that was just me rambling thoughts. There are the celestial gates from which the sun goes forth, and the celestial gates in which the lion sets. Thence also does the white hind arise and set again, and the star leaders among the starry host. 6 gates are there where the sun arises, and 6 gates in the place where he sets, and all respectively are on an equal level, and there are many apertures for splendour on the right and on the left. First marches forth the solar lion, replete with luminous fiery flames, the circle of which is as a circle of heaven itself, and where he ascends as a chariot, the wind blows. The sun sets in heaven, and returning by the north, so as to proceed towards the east, it entereth by that gate, and thence illuminates the whole face of heaven. And so for the first month it goes out of that gate, and rolling onward it reaches the 4th gate. Of these 6, which are at the rising of the sun, and the 4th gate, through which the sun and moon proceeded, there are 12 apertures for splendour, through which flame issues. And when the sun arises in the heaven, it goes forth through the 4th gate for 30 days, and by the 4th gate, that is in heaven westward, and parallel with the former, it now descends during that period. The day is lengthened from that day, and the night curtailed from that night for 30 days. And then the day is longer by 2 parts than the night, and the day is 10 parts, and the night is 8. And the sun goes forth the 4th gate, and sets in it, and turns to the 5th gate during the 30 days, after which it goeth out and sets in the 5th gate. Then the day becomes lengthened by a second portion. Now indeed, sorry, bringing this map back again. So I think when Enoch was about the earth watching these luminaries and calculating them as he was asked to do, I believe personally he was actually standing in Antarctica underneath underneath South Africa, in order to be able to see the sun coming through the eastern gates and going through the western gates from the same place. So that's just what I think anyway. Then the sun goeth forth in the 2nd gate where it did set. It returns to the east by the 1st gate for 31 days, and then it sets in the west, the 1st gate. The night is then 12 parts. I don't know if I've just missed a load out. I'll just carry on. Then the sun, having completed the circuit, returneth a 2nd time through its sphere into the 1st gate. It enters through 30 days and sets in the west, opposite parts of heaven. At that period the night is again shortened. It consists of but 11 parts, while the day is 7. Then the sun enters into the 2nd gate of the east, rising and setting in its circuits for 30 days. Then the night is again made shorter. It becomes 10 parts, while the day is 8 parts. Then the sun goes from the 2nd gate and sets in the west, but it rises in the east in the 3rd gate for 30 days. Then the night becomes again shortened, but it is but 9 parts. The day is also 9, and the night and the day are like equal, and the whole year it have 364 days. Thus the day is daily lengthened, and the night shortened during the progress of the sun's back and forward. And this is the law, and the sun would go back and forward from his perspective in South Africa there, in Antarctica below South Africa there. If you're sitting on the flat earth, you would see the sun coming to you and going away, back and forth into the gates of the horizon. Whereas on a globe, it would curl round, wouldn't it? Anyway. Thus the days daily lengthened and the night shortened during the progress of the sun back and forward. And this is the law, that great and everlasting lion, which God hath so appointed for ever and ever. And his names are Ari Arez, Sur, and Tammuz. These things did he show me, the angel of the Lord of splendours, the institution of heaven in the heavens, and in the worlds that are under the heavens. 12 gates also I beheld in heaven, through which the sun, the moon, the stars, and all the luminaries of heaven do come forth, according to their periods of rising and setting. There too I saw secret meteors, and the distribution of the varied winds, and the mysteries of dews and clouds, and caverns of the hail, the snows, the mansions of the clouds, the wondrous cloud itself, which filled all space. Before the universe gleamed the mechanism of the moon and her phases, her birth ever renewed, from darkness into crystal light, her unchangeable procession, how she goes before the giant sun, wandering never from her path. See, these are parts where I am a bit sceptical, because the sun and the moon are the same size, and here it's referring to the sun as a giant and the moon. Anyway, I'll carry on. Shining as a lamp to mortals, in obedience to the Supreme Lord, I mingled in her mysterious orbits, the cycles that she completes by day and night, her courses to the pure and splendour, but to the evil utter darkness. Unto these even the sun shines not, his orb is but vapoury mist. How can they who are blind to God perceive the glory of his servant? God hath separated light from darkness, a fiery belt divides them. The spirits that delight in each abide in each, none can pass that ever-burning zone. So yeah, it's one thing about seeing the light is, in order to be able to see the light, you've got to have stepped into the darkness, and that's one of the things why it's been hard for the Jews, because, you know, they've been forever sticking to the word, and in that they've not got the faith, and they've not put their faith in Christ. That was just an example. It's nothing against Jewish people at all, really, but it's just how I see it. And so in order to go to the light, you need to be in the darkness to be able, you need to step out of the light into the darkness to be able to perceive the light. If you stay in the light, you can't perceive it, because it's the same. So yeah, that's why we're all sinners, and that's why we need to acknowledge we're in the darkness and turn to the light. And there's a lot of people waking up now, which is amazing, really good. But we've got to wake up to serve God for freedom. You know, if people think they're going to just destroy the governments and get the evil ones out of there, and that's it, we can start anew, that's not God's plans. This age was to see who would turn to God, and the age is almost up. And the next age, where each of us are, is determined on our faith in God in this age. So all of you out there that haven't put your faith in God, I really do hope you do. Be nice to be able to chat with you. Anyway, just my thoughts again. And he said, oh, is that right? Yeah. And he said, knowest thou, O Enoch, who may this sun be, and who is whitely shining moon? The lion glitters, but the white hind is all love. From the sun proceedeth all that is divine. love and light, and warmth and beauty. These flow into all places, unto all natures, into all essences, into all fiery, starry fountains. With these are carried along in flame circles the leaders of 10,000 classes of stars. Regarding these, men do greatly err. They know not their true nature, nor become participants of the sun gleam. So that's saying that they're saying to get out of the sun gleam. Potentially, people that do fast for a long time, maybe the sun can help with the nutrients and the vitamin D. I don't know. Blessed are they who do receive thereof, who shine and burn and are crowned. And he said, Hast thou heard of the ways through which the splendid ones go forth? Seek, meditate, retire into the wilderness, into the cavernous mountains, seclude thy soul. And what it's saying here is the way into eternity, to become basically an angel, is to suffer the persecution in the name of God in this life and to die doing the will of God. So yeah, I mean, it's like this at the moment. It's right that we don't want to stay under corruption by leaders or anything. Absolutely, that's so right. But to destroy them, to make our own corruption after that would be pointless, because we would make God angrier. Anyway, chapter 5, the lights and glories. Beautiful art thou, O sun, yet I will not bow to thee in worship. And thou moon art fair indeed, yet will not my soul adore thy circle. I have seen ye tremble in light, and you can see that now. If you get Nikon P900 camera and you zoom into the moon, particularly around the edge of it, you might be able to see every now and then the image of the moon flicker like it's in water, and ripples of the water have occurred. And you can see that now. So for Enoch to see that before the flood, either, he had better eyesight than us, or he had cameras, or telescopes. As if ye were living creatures. I have seen ye tremble in light, as if ye were living creatures. Yet I know that ye are ministers only, and that God is your divine master. He shall be my sovereign. Before his throne will I bend low. I will not worship the rainbow spirit, who is ever near and with the Lord. That be the Sophia, I imagine, or the Holy Spirit. Be thou, O moon, art her footstool, and thou, O sun, art but her vow. She casts thee round her like a robe. Shall I worship the garment? In the mystical grove I see an altar. It is the sacred altar of the Father. On this shall I lay my heart, and unto him only shall I bow in adoration. And I saw a glory of light, clouds fine as air, and in the centre thereof the sun, and two rainbows round the sun, and yet a third rainbow in the opposite quarter. This is like sundogs that we see nowadays sometimes. But in the extreme ends of the two rainbows, the central sun was so brightly mirrored, that the intensity of light and the golden splendour made 3 suns when there was but one. And lo, a vision of fire, red horses. They passed over seas of waters, in dew, in rain, in frost, in snow. Like meteor lights they flashed. The mountains stayed them not. They put forth wings, they flew. Thunders are in their dark feet, and in their eyes stars like fires. I heard their names. The silver gates of the clouds open wide, and downward into the glens they passed like rivers of flame. He showed me the secret of the lights, and the judgment which they carry on their wings. They lighten for a blessing, according to the will of the Lord of Essence. The secrets of the thunders were revealed unto me. When they grind as in mortar above heaven, when the night clouds fly before them, and the sound of their wrath is heard. Their voice is for peace and blessing, and the judgment also according to the law. When the guilty hear and know it, they hide themselves in caves and holes. So this is talking about when the Lord returns and speaks from heaven. So they will hear thunders, and they'll crawl into the rocks to say, hide us from the face of he that sitteth on the throne. When the guilty hear and know it, they hide themselves in caves and holes. Divinely beautiful is the survey of the heavens, and the splendours that revolve therein. Beautiful in their majestic order, and their varied and majestic course. From their beauty and order are derived. From him who is the first, the one supreme celestial fire, the ancient of the olden time. Afterwards I saw every secret of the dark splendours that are concealed. I grasped the sources of those lightnings, which bless and fertilise while they flash. O thrice blessed are ye, and thrice being the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit as one God. Ye pure spirits of the earth, from whom a knowledge of those beautiful things has been prepared by your Lord and Father, ye shall exist in sunlight, in the rays of everlasting life, whose beam shall shine for ages, with glory that never fails. Then another spirit, who proceeded with me, spake, and showed me the first and last secrets, the mysteries of the heavens above, the mysteries of the earths beneath, and the beginning of all things, and how the spirits of heaven are divided, and the spirits who rule the winds, and how the winds are numbered by God, each in proportion to his strength and excellence. He showed me a force of the moon's light, and how its growth is regulated, and he disclosed to me the name of the she bears among the immortals. The first is Asunya, the second is Ebla, the third is Benassi, and the fourth is Array. And he narrated to me the divisions of the stars in order, and their names and ranks of each division. He showed me how the lightning flashed, and how the clouds do instantly obey, and the silent pause of the thunders, and the energy of the new awakened bolt. The thunder and lightning are one, yet they are both two forces. They move not with one spirit. So he's talking about the speed of sound and the speed of light. Yet they are still indissolubly joined. For when the lightning flashes forth, then indeed the thunder sounds, and the guiding spirits pause and rest until the space of time has passed. He showed me how each is restrained as with the bridle, and is impelled by the force of the spirit, which sweeps them over mighty spheres, as an arrow loosed from the bow. And I beheld, as if in sevenfold lustre, holy ancients, the cherubim with uplifted wings of glory, the seraphim and the ophanim of light, the pure and burning chasmilam of starry shape, Asarim and Isarim, myriad and innumerable millions. Their songs and music filled the universe. Seas of light flowed before me, far into extended space, ocean with towers and spires and obelisks on their snow, white shores. So for Enoch to know of obelisks and towers and spires before the flood, a lot of these ancient architecture, beautiful buildings could have quite well been from pre-flood times, or the ones we've got now are imitations of, or rendered versions of. After this he gave me the signs. He made known symbols and secrets of all the hidden wisdom in the book of my Father and in the mystic parables of the all-powerful Spirit. Who is there whose heart softens not, whose nature is not troubled at these things? Light of the universe, when shall I return to thee? When shall I go back to the ancient places, the paradise bows and the primeval love? There the mighty triad of beauty shines the white resplendency, armoured in the diamond light of heaven, with bows and arrows of golden beam, around the fire altar, rising in the mist of ocean, washed by 10,000 darkling waves. They bend, they pray, they sing, The rainbow rises out of the ocean, but the Spirit shines in loveliness. The waves leap up with silver on their crests. She breathes delight and peace through all. A hymn arises out of the mystic cells, the song of Hu, the Lord of the universe. It impels as if with fiery force, an effluence through all that live. Their natures beat with the fire energy. They swell with joy and with calm wisdom, and circle round in the white stone of might, whose face is the mirror of the Spirit, a mighty one, small as the mote. A glorious one, larger than the universe, O Lord, our God, our mysterious Sire. In three alone do we put faith. Thou art life, thou art light. Thy form is translucent sunshine. Lord of waters, Lord of worlds, the great, the ancient, the infinite. And I saw a holy vision of the heavens. I saw a holy vision in the heavens. And he said, Who will go? And a peal of thunders answered. The universe was wrapped in a dazzling flame. It quivered in the hold of lightnings. Hear ye, said the thunders. The branch of the Lord is beautiful. He alone knoweth no change, but his fruit is an everlasting glory. So, and I saw a holy vision in the heavens. And he said, Who will go? And I believe that's where he's talking about Yeshua coming to the earth. So Yeshua was clearly definitely spoken about pre-flood times as well, even from Book of Eden and stuff, days of Adam. Chapter 6, a vision of 10. And I heard one speak. In the 7th of the 1st was he born, while the holy and the just awaited him with patience. So this vision of 10, let me just say that 10 is the age divided into 10 parts, and it's telling you about what happens at what time. So if Christ is coming after 6,000 years to, I can't remember, I do believe it actually does include that actually. So yeah, so you need to divide 7,000 years by 10, so you've got 700, and then so for this first bit it says in the 7th of the 1st he was born. So it's talking about Enoch, and it's saying that he the 7th part of the first 700 years is around the time that Enoch was born. He just waited him with patience. But after him, in the 2nd, great wickedness did arise, and fraud did spring forth. So between 700 after Adam and 1400 after Adam, the wickedness came. That be the fallen angels. Afterwards, in the 3rd, a man of the tree of purity is made manifest. The branch thereof shall bloom forever. Next, in the 4th, visions of the all-powerful shall be seen, the order of generation after generation. Then in the 5th, the house of glory and of might shall be raised forever and ever. I think that's talking about New Jerusalem. Sorry, not New Jerusalem, temple in Jerusalem. In the 6th there shall be in the 6th there shall be darkness, and in it shall a man ascend. So that be Yeshua. In the 7th the righteous shall receive a sword to execute judgment upon the evil. Maybe I've got my guessings wrong on that, but that sounds like what's coming up soon. Where the wicked think that they're going to get the New World Order, but in the 7th the righteous shall receive a sword to execute judgment upon the evil. In the 8th shall be a pure chosen from the tree of everlasting beauty. In the 9th the virginity of the righteous shall be revealed to the whole world. I believe that might be potentially when people become bright and emit light. In the 7th of the 10th, an everlasting judgment shall be executed. Heaven shall spring forth in the midst of the angels. The stars of Shesti Matri shall be revealed. and a long interval shall pass, and gleam fitfully. The former heaven shall wane away, the new heaven shall appear, and all powers of the Most High shall shine with sevenfold splendour, lustre, and serpents in fire. So those that don't choose God in this age won't get that light, and they'll be in a world where everything is extremely bright and light, and it will be too bright for them to live in. It kind of says that somewhere in a bit later in the book as well, and it says like, where will thou go when that time comes, or something like that. The house of the king shall be built up forever. The voice ceased, and I was lost in wonder, the darkness of mystery on my soul and spirit, and I could not speak. Arise, arise, O King of the earth, gird thy spirit with thy eagle, soar into the divine presence. Think not as mortals think. I rose in clouds of golden splendour, in flame mist in a trance. I saw the chair of rainbows. I saw the splendid gleaming seraphs. Happy, oh, how happy are they who see the palaces of glory, waving, rolling in an eddy of flame. With the splendid foam of fire, the luminous ones give light to all these splendid spheres. Hu, Maya, Luck. I fell upon my face in fear, and when 1,000 years passed, he graved upon my thigh. Like a thundercloud, the raven passed, but his beak dropped blood. And there's a psalm here that's part of this chapter that's not the multiple chapters of psalms that I showed in the contents at the beginning. Give thanks unto the Lord, call upon his name, make known his deeds among the people. Sing unto him, sing psalms unto him. Talk ye of his wondrous works, glory ye in his holy name. Let the heart of them rejoice that seek the Lord. Seek the Lord and his strength. Seek ye his face continually. Remember his marvellous works that he hath done, his wonders and the judgments of his mouth. He is the Lord our God. His judgments are in all the earth. Be ye mindful always of his covenant, the word which he hath commanded to 1,000 generations, saying, touch not mine anointed ones, and do my prophets no harm. And when they went from the nation to nation, and from one kingdom to another people, he suffered no man to do them wrong. Yea, he reproved kings for their sakes. Sing unto the Lord, all the earth. Show forth from day to day his salvation. Declare his glory among the nations, his marvellous work amid all peoples. For great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised. He also is to be feared above all gods. Glory and honour are in his place. Strength and gladness are in his place. Give unto the Lord, ye kindreds of the people. Give unto the Lord the glory due unto his name. Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Once ye were as spirits before him, gleaming in the beauty of the sun, but now are a fallen race. Ye sigh after the golden seats. Tremble, thou earth, the world also, and all that be in it. Let the heavens be glad, let the earth rejoice. Let all men say, the Lord reigneth. Let the sea roar, and the fullness thereof. Let the fields rejoice, and all that is therein. Then shall the trees of the wood sing out and shout at the presence of the Lord, because he cometh to judge the earth, and to give splendour to the sons of truth. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. My throat's starting to hurt a bit, so have a quick break and crack on in a bit. Chapter 7. The Judgment of Enoch. The word revealed unto Enoch, the word that is, Yeshua, a blessing to the pure, who shall exist in the days of tribulation, but to the wicked and ungodly it shall be a stumbling block. Enoch was with God. I made answer and spake with him, while mine eyes were veiled, but yet opened, and while I saw holy visions in the heavens. These did the divine ones show, the lion gods. From them did I learn all things. By them was I filled with understanding. I beheld the things which are now not, but which shall come to pass in future days, in generations that are yet to be, when the Son of Heaven shall shine forth. By them I spake, and did converse with those who shall go forth in glory from their habitation, the holy and the mighty, the rulers of the sphere of man, the sphere. In after days they shall sit upon Zion, and call their hosts around them. They shall be made manifest in lion strength, in the majesty of the power of heaven. All shall be awed. The children of darkness shall be terrified. Fear and trembling shall overcome them. They shall be scattered to the ends of the earth. The lofty mountains shall be troubled, and the hills shall be depressed with shame. They shall melt like honeycombs in fire. The earth of man shall be deluged. So this can be seen in two ways. It can be seen that just like Yeshua when he was here before, his light shone, but he didn't emit light. He was righteous, and the light was the righteousness of the holy Yeshua. I get the impression that this second coming of Yeshua, being in all his glory and us being like him as we see him, that we would ultimately emit light. And it slightly thought just crossed my mind just saying all this, with the attempts at the moment of trying to get everyone on earth into the above the equator, within the central circle of the earth, of the flat earth, and then persecuting most of the people south of the equator, on the outside edge of the earth, i.e. Australia ways and all them countries over there. Maybe they're trying to push everyone in, so when the day comes that God's people emit light and are a fear to anyone that hasn't ascended into that new eternal body, that it might burn them, that it might scare them. So they're pushing us into the middle so that they can have the outskirts, i.e. Australia and them countries out there, and potentially Antarctica as somewhere to run to. And it says about melting as well. And as I've said in previous readings of scriptures, when the wealthy run from God at the end, they'll go to Antarctica, and that's where they'll be killed and they'll be burnt. So carrying on with this anyway. The sons of flesh that are thereon shall die, and judgment shall be pronounced aloud. Yea, even the righteous shall be on trial. They shall be weighed in the balances of God. But to those in fine shall paradise be opened. They shall belong to God, and shall be happy in his light. And the splendours of the beautiful one of heaven shall enfold them around within its circle. Behold, he comes with 1,000 of his saints, to execute judgment upon the wicked. For their crimes shall the sinful suffer, and the carnal shall be covered with confusion. The boundaries of the universe shall flash lightnings, the voice of thunders pealing shall be heard, and bolt on bolt redoubled amid darkness shall testify the presence of the Holy One. Excuse me. So this is basically saying the flashings of light shall come out from Antarctica ways, from the edges of the earth, and the murmurings and thunders and that, and the noises that will stretch across the earth will come from them places too. So the lightning and stuff we'll see upon Christ's return may be a completely different type of lightning that we experience currently, a lot more brighter and stronger and louder and from heaven. Chapter 8. The Uniformity of Natural Law. All who are in the heavens know the order of the heavens. The stars wander not from their orbits. They rise and set at the moments that are marked out. They They disobey not the commandments of him who ruleth. The high intelligences look down upon the earth, and see the things that are done therein. They mark the advancing and retreating tide of events, from the beginning unto the end of the end, and every manifestation of the Supreme Being is invariable in his period of appearance. As the summer followeth the winter, as the cloud and dew refresh the wilderness, when the trees wither and the leaves fall off, and the beautiful seems an image of decay. Yet they know that all shall in time be renewed, and that the young blossoms shall bud forth. And when the days of summer come, and thou seekest for a shade from the burning heats, and thou canst not walk upon the parched earth, nor upon the rocks because of the glowing beam, then the trees put forth their leaves, their green branches produce fruit and shadow, and the sweet and shady boughs of delightfulness succeed in the dry boughs of winter. He who liveth forever doeth these things. They are his work, as the rings revolve. They are subservient to God, and they are immutable also. For as he has ruled, even so do they come. As the rivers flow into the seas from out the seas, so flow the years into the cycles of the years. As the seas reflow into the rivers from the rivers, so do the cycles blend into the new commencing years. Chapter 9. The Night Watchers. Hearken unto me, O men. Hear ye, in what manner ye have sinned, and how ye have departed from the straight paths which the man of God did show. In the morning of the earth there was beauty, in the golden morning of the ancients, when the race of mortals newly born bloomed like trees in summer. But after eons had multiplied on the earth, but after suns had multiplied on the earth, and their daughters did appear beautiful to the eye, then did the children of heaven look upon them, and they became enamoured of those fair women. Like horses did they neigh, and they said unto each other, Go to, let us take unto ourselves wives from those that are not we the chosen children, and shall not we do as seemeth good unto our hearts? Then did they debate whether they should abjure the sacred command, but they resolved to do so, and to contract marriages with the daughters of those who renounce God and their leader, Samyaza. Sorry, this text is quite a small. There's a very small full stop that I missed there. Sorry. And their leader, Samyaza, said to them, May it not be that some of you will repent, and abandoning your chief perfidiously, shall it not come to pass that I alone shall suffer death? But they answered, saying, We swear and bind ourselves as one with joint execration, that we will not change from this purpose, but will do the thing that we have sworn to do. And they made an oath altogether, and bound themselves as one by mutual exhortations. And they descended to the number of 200 upon Ardath, which is near Mount Ar. And the women whom they took brought forth giants, mighty men and terrible. And these giants begat the Nephilim, and from the Nephilim the Ulidai sprang, vast were their numbers. And they taught themselves, and their wives also, poisons and incantations and magic arts, and the things and thoughts of Satwanas. And Azael made swords and breastplates, and melted metals of the earth, and fabricated for women gold and silver, to bear ornaments like harlots, and to polish stones, and to give them false splendour, and to use colours as dyes, and to violate the laws of God, and perverting all the ways of right, wickedness stalked over the earth. And they fed hatreds in their hearts, and did evil with the roots of herbs. And those who polluted themselves, Yakun, misled the sons of the priests, and causing them to descend, led them wandering among the sons and daughters of the infidel. And he whose surname was Kesibala gave evil counsel to the sons of the priests, and led them to corrupt their minds and bodies by intermarriage with the generation of the wicked. So here, I know there's people, there's different sects of people that say that the fallen ones were actually the sons of Adam coming down from the mountain, and there's others saying that it was actually angels from the second heaven. In my understanding, this just explained that they were even convincing the sons of Adam to come down from the mountain to sleep with the sons of the daughters of Cain. So in my perspective, it would have been angels from the second heaven coming down and creating the giants, not Adam's descendants, even though they were giants to us today. I don't think they were the giants that it's referring to according to this anyway. And he whose surname was Gada Eli was a maker of deaf instruments. By his hand were these things given unto the sons of the earth from thence forever. And here's an example of where forever isn't an infinite amount of years. So weapons are given to us forever, but Christ has already said in the New Age all the weapons will be melted and there won't be war anymore. So here's an example of where forever is as long as the ages. So if the age is 10,000 years, forever is 10,000 years in that instance. Anyway, and he whose surname was Penemu discovered unto the children sweets and bitters. He revealed hidden mysteries and exposed writings that ought not to be exposed. And he whose surname was Cassiadi disclosed appearances of gods and spirits, the epiphany of the divine from the womb, and of the pure who was removed from the bite of the dragon, the manifestation in the light of splendours of the faithful one, the child of Tibet. He revealed the sacred number Kebal, which the Most High, who dwells in majesty, made manifest unto his holy ones, whose name also is Becca. He divulged that ever holy name, which ought not to be made known to any, breaking through his oath of power, for powerful and strong was that oath. This is the sacred Akao of the Almighty, whereby the heavens were suspended before the earths were formed, the Akao that ought not to be revealed. This is the holy name, whereby the earths were founded on the floods, while the agitated waters rush widely out of the dark and the secret beds, whereby also the seas were formed, and the foundations of the seas were laid, whereby the rocks were raised against its anger, and the rocks that are unchanged for ages. That'd be the continents. This is the Akao that makes strong the abyss, so that it shall remain immovable forever. By this the sun and moon complete their march, swerving not from their appointed course. So this is saying it's the Akao that causes, or the secret word of God that causes the sun and moon to maintain their paths. Personally, I thought before, I kind of thought that maybe Mount Meru was a magnetic mountain and that they were holding them in, but that would be equivalent if the sun and the moon were magnetic themselves and material objects, whereas they might not be. They might just be visible but spiritual objects reflecting the light of the heavens through a sort of moving portal that moves by the word of God. By this name the stars revolve, and when their names are called they come and go. And the winds are ruled, and the thunders also, and hail and lightnings, and the seasons. Chapter 10. The Outcry of the Earth. And all these chiefs among the watchers practised dread iniquities. They polluted themselves with strange women. They made a mock of holy ordinances. They destroyed birds and harmless creatures. And they bowed them to the images of beasts and fish. They ate flesh and drank blood until the very earth did groan and sob. So as I'm reading through this, everything, like I said at the beginning of this video, is like a parable within a great parable. and there's smaller parables within each parable. So when I'm talking here about the giants, or reading about the giants, know that today the giants are our rulers, our oppressive rulers. So when it's saying here, and all the chiefs among the watchers practice dread iniquities, that's basically, if you want to be a star in this world, you've got to do something and be recorded doing it, so that you can have something held against you if ever you go against the agenda of the wicked ones. So they pollute themselves with strange women. They made a mock of holy ordinances. I mean, every single thing I see on, well, I don't watch TV anymore, but everything I used to see on TV always like had some sort of mocking of Christ on it. But you see them accept, like you watch cartoons like South Park or Family Guy, and they'll kind of mock Christ and God the Father, but then they'll be more accepting towards all the other religions, and it's very discriminating. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so they mock God and the holy ordinances. They destroy birds and harmless creatures. We have zoos. You know, people think that's good, you get to see the animals, but personally that's a prison for wild animals, and I don't really think that's very fair. They ate flesh and drank blood until the very earth did groan and sob. And that's them, today's cannibals, you know, and the child sacrifice and the drinking of the blood and the spine juice of children. Impiety was spread over the nations, and harlotry prevailed in all places, and Amazarach practiced witchcraft, and Arameers solved magic questions, and they worshipped false gods, Nidra, Levita, Isata, Patiki, and they did magic in the name of Abdi and Og, and Nura and Adsata. And they corrupted all their ways, and observed the spheres for unlawful uses. Men and animals cried out to God, and their voices reared the thrones. They reared the thrones. Then, Then the Holy Spirits, looking from heaven, behold blood over the earth and the iniquity wrought thereon, and how the spirits of the souls cried out. The great Archangels of God, Michael, Uriel, Raphael, Gabriel, looked and saw evil in all places, and that wickedness had corrupted all. And the spirits said, it is the voice of their weeping. The earth is sad, even to the gates of God. And now to thee, O Holy One of heaven, the souls of men do cry, saying, shrieking, O thou Holy One, justice, justice from the Most High God. Then these spirits said unto their Lord, Lord of lords, God of gods, the throne of thy glory is forever and ever is thy name sanctified. Blessed be thy throne, thy King of kings. Thou hast made all. Thou possessest power over all. All things are open before thee. Neither can there be aught hidden from thine eye. Thou seest what these do, practising all corruption. They have joined themselves to sin and shame. Black are their sorceries. They unto whom the might of power was given have polluted themselves, the daughters of men. They have gone into them and done iniquity, devising crimes from dawn till dark. And their wives, they have brought forth giants, so that the earth is red with abominations. And thy children they cry out before thee, complaining at the gates of heaven. Yea, the very souls of the spirits of the dead do cry, and their lamentation come out from the grave. And the voice of their weeping rises, the echo of their sadness from below. They cannot shield themselves from the ungodly, nor from the sinners make their mistake. Nor can the sinners make their escape. Thou who knowest all things, knowest these also, and their fruits. Yet hast thou not spoken to thy holy ones, neither hast thou declared thy will. Chapter 11. The Judgment on Samyaza. And Michael said unto Raphael, Bind Samyaza, hand and foot, cast him headlong into darkness, cover up his face. Restore the earth which he has corrupted. Announce life, even a resurrection. All the sons of men shall not perish. The slaves of soft beds shall be destroyed. Every oppressor shall die from the earth. The children of the watchers, the earth tyrants. But the good are as the trees that bloom forever, beside their fountain or by running streams. Thus shall it come to pass that the evil shall not see the days of holiness, the days of beauty, when the pure shall have begotten thousands, and the Sabbaths shall be the gardens of peace. In those days the face of the earth shall be sown with seeds of righteousness. It shall be filled with trees of blessing. Every tree of paradise shall grow therein. It shall be vines, in it shall vines be planted. Every vine shall go forth abundantly. For 1 measure of seed 1,000, and 1 measure of olives 10 presses of oil. From all injustice it shall be purified, from all oppression, from all impiety, all manner of pollution and unrighteousness shall perish from the sphere of the earth. Sphere again. Then shall the children of men be pure, and all nations shall adore God alone. He will rain down blessings from heaven. He will cause them to descend upon the earth, and upon the labours of man shall the benediction of Adonai flow. Peace and justice shall assume the sceptre, and reign like kings from heaven. Chapter 12. Enoch's mission to the watchers. Before all these things, I, Enoch, did exist, but concealed and secret in the deeps. No man knows where I was, neither can the sons of mortals know. But I was mingled high with the holy ones, and blessing the great Lord and Father, in a far-off place where darkness dwells not, nor any shadows beheld. There a voice came unto me, a voice supreme and holy. It awakened me up. So this is what I try to explain sometimes. I think the last time I tried to explain it was that we on earth have a whole God-shaped hole in our heart, and in heaven that hole is filled. So your hole up there, whereas down here we are always searching for something to fill that gap. So I think what this is saying is basically, when you hear the word of God within you, you know that God is with you, and that you're not God yourself, but God is talking to you, and you can have a conversation with God directly within your being. And I think that's what it's going to be like for the new age, for those that God gives his glory to. With that, a tongue of flesh might proclaim. The eagle voice raised me, saying, Go, Enoch, kinsman of the sun, say unto the watchers. So he was saying he was hidden somewhere in a bright place. Just at the beginning of the chapter, is he now saying that he was hidden within the sun? I don't know. Say unto the watchers who have fallen away, who have deserted their pure calling, who have polluted themselves on soft beds, abandoning their silent sanctuaries, that in exile they shall feel no peace, because they did corrupt themselves with lusts. They shall have no joy in offspring. They shall wail over the destruction they have caused. They shall weep for the days of innocence, when truth and mercy were in their hearts. We rode upon the whirlwind's wing. Over the dark red storms we heard the clash of many tempests. We heard the groans of many thousands, lightnings from thunderclouds, surcharged with deep black smoke. The bright red horses, drawing chariots of iron, and in my hand a sword, like a waving meteor, and the heaven seemed ablaze with light, as I wielded that mighty blade, and a cry of desolate mourning, and the sighs of many sorrowing ones. But a voice of power said, Even so, this judgment is just. Their swords were bathed in blood, their arrows dripped with fire, and the pale phantoms of the fallen passed us in their gloomy clouds. The passing into the places of the watchers, I said unto Yaza, O thou fallen, sentence is gone forth against thee. Behold, thou shalt have peace no more. He by whom we live, he who is also in himself. Sugar. Sorry about that, screensaver problems. Right, so, and passing on to the places of the watchers, I said to Yaza, O thou fallen, the sentence is gone forth against thee. Behold, there shall have peace no more. He by whom we live, he who is all in himself, the invisible, the one. God hath sent me to you. Thy sin shall bind thee in brass, neither shall relief come upon thy limbs, nor supplication win pity, for great is thy wickedness. And I passed onwards, and saw others. They trembled pale in terror, and they besought me to intercede with God, that they might obtain pardon. Then did I make a record of their supplication, and the sufferings which I saw, and of the mercy which they sought, that they might have peace. And wending onwards, I passed waters of Vastation, of Dan Badon, unto the west of Ar, and reading there the record of their punishments, behold, I was transfused. And lo, a dream like a cloud, and visions in the flame of God. And I lay and saw the wondrous sight revealed before the fallen of the Most High. And when I woke, I went to the place, the desert of waters of Vastation. The name thereof is Ubel Sael. And there I saw them with their faces veiled. And I related the vision and the dream. So this is talking about the giants with their faces veiled. Do people in the earth that not confess God have a sort of veil of blindness over them now? And would the leaders not have that same veil over them now, i.e. hiding behind their puppets in the government and such? And I related the vision and the dream, and I spake in these words, but their faces were cowed in darkness. O fallen ones, who are under judgment, the prayer of your suffering is unheeded. The voice of God hath spoken it. Ye have abandoned him, and are abandoned of him. Weep and supplicate in silence, but murmur not against the decree. Condemn yourselves, not the divine law, which exiles the impure from purity. Then I saw, as it were, a shadowy cloud, whose sides could no eye penetrate. Methought I was involved in its depths, and from these depths I could not look upward. I beheld also a flame of fire, and glittering mountains whirled around. They were agitated terribly from side to side, and out of the breasts voices came. And then did I inquire of the sons of the spirits, saying, What is this flashing thing? Is it not heaven, but a sphere of fire? And in its voice, and in it is the voice of lamentation. He said, Into that place of full blasphemers, spirits of those who meditate and work evil, who pervert the oracles of God, which he reveals by his apostles. So even here he's talking about his apostles in Enoch's day. O pillar of fire, thou who leadest my soul onward, to resist the arm of death, to be as still and strong as the rock. Let me look upon thy face, O splendour. Let me hear thy many voices, soft and powerful as the sea waves. When they dash upon some lonely shore, I follow thee amidst mists and clouds, and the heavenly lights of the star of the morning. And when the night gathers in darkness, still amid the groves, I follow thee. And the morning star as well, Mark. Is that not what Yeshua received when he was baptized? Is that not what his chosen people will receive when they're raised into the clouds to see him and are just like him? Would that morning star, that brightness rising in the morning from the evening to the morning, be the light emitting from the bodies? And when the night gathers in darkness, still amid the groves, I follow thee. O flame, dusky gloom rushes from the mountains. The stars are faintly visible, yet still, O pillar of pure light. Sorry, I've just lost where I am. Dusky gleams rushes from the mountains. The stars are faintly visible. Yet still, O pillar of pure light, I follow thee through flying clouds. Art thou not the sole, supreme God, in whom are all secrets wrapped? Round thee clusters the rainbow, but at thy feet I see the lions of battle. Thou readest all my secret thoughts. My soul is a sunbeam before thee. Great Father, ancient mystery, how shall I give thee homage? I rose, I rushed from the mountain to mountain, yea, even unto the seas I plunged. But the pillar of fire glittered over, yet I could not touch it with my hand. Second Psalm. Reverence unto thee, O Lord of worlds. Reverence unto thee, O Eternal One. Reverence unto thee, O God of justice, the emblem of mercy to those who serve thee, who art the dispeller of all pain, the King of all things, guardian of the great universe, the possessor of all things. Thou art Lord of all, the proper form of all existences and appearances. Thou bestowest salvation. Be propitious, O Most High God. Ashaba, Ashaba, Ashaba. Let us adore thee in groves and forests. Let us kneel to thee on high places, under the open heavens and the stars, O Eternal, O thou life. Thou who art most beautiful and wise, the supreme intelligence of wisdom, the source of the just and holy, the first principle. Thou art not fire, thou art not air, nor water, nor any element, but the spirit essence of the universe. In love, in gratitude, in veneration, may we all kneel before thee, thanking the almighty bestower of goodness boundless as the infinite. Chapter 13. The Vision of the Valley of Sin. Then I looked and turned myself to another part, where I beheld a deep valley burning with fire. And in this valley I saw monarchs, pontiffs, mighty men, bound in strong iron fetters without weight. Then I spake unto their angel, Who are these in fetters, and why are they bound? And he answered, They are the sons of Azazel. They are the children of hell, and they are fast in their rivets of condemnation. They have cast themselves into this place so that they may reap the dread reward of their crimes, for that they became evil ministers of evil. O ye kings, O ye pontiffs, and ye mighty men, who hold high places, would that ye could behold these things, and that ye could see the Mighty One in his throne of glory. They moved in punishment, in darkness, in woe, in weeping, in remorse, in networks of brass and rivets. Said networks, brass and rivets of iron. And the days of their life were past, but the days of their judgment were without number. They cried aloud to the eagle, but he heard them not, to the serpent, to the leviathan of the waters, to the lion gods of sevenfold splendour, and to the holy light of which is imaged all the light that glitters in the sun. They cried also unto the splendours, but they cried and were not heard. And the receptacles of the waters, which are now above the skies, opened out, and the fountains of water which are under the stars put forth their torrents, and roar 70 times 7 thunders was heard booming over the dark and sullen ocean, so that my very soul melted into drip of ice hills. So this is him envisioning the flood, which he was shown before he was taken up to heaven. And obviously Noah was told soon after date and given 120 years to build the ark. Blessed be thy name, O God, who ridest on the terrible whirlwind, who didst give a shore to the sea, who didst say unto the mountains, Thus far. I hear thee in the mountain torrents, and in the cry of tempests, when the forest bends like a reed, when thy hand puts forth its terror. I know thou art terrible essence, a night of gloom, a sea of darkness, as lightning whirling amid fear peals. Let the children of air bow down and weep. Why should the evil-hearted hope that thou wilt lift them in the gardens? Why should the slime brood feed off their thoughts, that they too shall ascend among the virgin bright? In this place saw I an angel of God. His name was Raziel. He reclined beside the shining stream. But when he saw me, he came near. He showed me a book bright of fire, in whose leaves I read mysteries. And he placed it in my hand, saying, These are the institutes of heaven. I looked upon its silver-white pages, with marks and signs like sapphire, and viewed with wonder and awe the multiform images of the concealed. Over its surface the stars seemed moving, eddying flame whirled. I took it to my hand as if I beheld the sun. Like myrrh and frankincense it was. Every page sparkled with light. This also did the first receive, i.e. Adam, when he descended from days of darkness, from days to darkness. A voice cried out, it cried aloud, Ha'odal, Ha'odal. It was a voice of flame, like lightning flashed above the heavens. Then from the opposite quarter I heard, Kedal, Kedali. My soul kindled into fire. Show me that sacred sanctuary, a flash, a cloud of beams of glory, a whirlwind of light and grandeur, a burst of sweetest music, chorus of 10,000 harps. She shone in all her beauty, a star of morning and full-orbed moon. In the brilliant ring of the full-orbed splendours I looked, I was transfused into the sea. Is that talking about the star next to the sliver of the moon, like on the Turkish flag? I don't know. Then out of the ocean rose the daughter of light and fire, moving in harp music. The waves were gardens of fragrance. The sun burst out of a cloud and sheds its glory over the waters. So from her morning eyes the beauty of love flashed. O spirit of the seven rays, bearer of the mystic torch, queen of the choir of stars, bless me with thy music light. My son, the glories of the earth are shadows. Avoid them, for they are also evil. But after the grandeur of the heavenly places, let thy heart aspire perpetually. God hath clothed them with robes and diadems. He hath filled them with the beauty of light. I tell thee, for I have seen them with my eyes. In visions of immortality they have been shown. The golden-handed one of heaven raised me. He bore me aloft into paradise, even unto the enshuphic sphere, the central star of the starry universe. This is the sphere of the infinite, the first, the greatest, the most celestial. Where is the presence of the power of God, and the Spirit of God abides in glory? The 10 splendours of spheres of being stood forth before me in wondrous glance. I saw innumerable living pictures, the breathing image of the divine in heaven. I saw the pure and lovely representatives of the all-beautiful essence of God. His whole heaven was revealed as in a picture, resplendent with harmony and light. The mystery of the triadic powers, life, intellect, and spirit, gleamed forth in the divine fiery essence of God. My heart melted away in silence. I also saw the everlasting cycles of the stars, and how they roll in flame perpetually, and the Spirit of God diffusing life, like sweet ambrosia from a cup. So they had ambrosia in them days too. And I passed onwards to a river of fire, which emptied itself into a great ocean. And many large torrents did I then behold, torrents of death and torrents of destruction, and vapour and night, and shadows and silences, and the mystery of the deeps. I went to where those born of flesh descend, and I beheld the mountains of an everlasting winter, places from which the ice waters roll. Through many dreadful cataracts, there shall they be bound who made men profane, leading them to wrong by wrongful counsel, so that they offered sacrifice to Satans and mocked and worshipped of the one. But they and theirs shall be judged together on the day when all wickedness shall suffer. The sheep shall follow the wolf-like shepherd into pastures that conduct to death. Here were beasts of monstrous form, creatures of a wild and strange appearance, and birds various in their shapes, and their faces in discordant cries, and afar off in certain dark valleys I saw sinners who had denied God. They were expelling and hurling one the other into gulfs of lower darkness. The Lord of Spirits punished them not. He is the universal love. Evil in all places and at all times becomes its own avenger. Chapter 14. The orders of life in the universe. 3 orders of life are there in the universe: celestial, spiritual, and material life. But the first are tenants of the heavens, in brightness and dominion next to God. But the spirits are pure and devoid of flesh. They are innumerable ranks and degrees. According to the beauty is their place, and according to their perfectness is their beauty. But all material life is impure, and its stages and decrees are without number, according to the temper of the animating principle, to the form in which it desires development. Spirits that grow impure by evil thinking are incapable of living the ether in heaven. They fall down headlong into space as a stone falls through the air, and sinking through immense distances into chaos. They eagerly desire some tangible hold to save themselves from further degradation, and from the agony of their everlasting lapse. Then do they desire shapes in harmony with their nature, and build unto themselves bodies thereunto by an everlasting instinct which operates by the universal law. Thus the races of men form themselves, having been pre-existent fallen spirits, who enter the flesh subtly and unseen, and in the womb weave unto themselves bodies. They use the materials that are at hand, fabricating organs for themselves by instinct, and in the appointed hour are born in the shape which they have formed for themselves. For man giveth not life to man, but the means only of developing life, and every man now living was a sculptor of his own body and its organs. And this one maketh himself comely, and this one formeth himself to be a lover of learning, and this one fabricate organs that degrade him, and this one is imperfect because he is unskilful. Men differ in no wise from other living creatures, save only in the nature of their spirits. To some they are inferior, but to others superior. But the same principle of life animates all, and all life is developed in the same mode by the same instinct of spirit, weaving unto itself a shape as the spider forms a web, which no man could make, and as the snail makes a shell which no finger could imitate. And all spirits of the sub-celestial spheres are invisible until they assume manifestations. They are everlasting essences and powers which need a shape to be their medium of development. The gods who shine beneath the thrones require a medium to make their brightness visible, and each one makes so their medium for himself in exact accordance with his nature. So also is it with the other spirits who, that they may be visible and live in their cycles, must possess a form suited to those circles, and if they lose their forms, they can no longer live there. As man, when his body falleth, can no longer live on earth, but must go into another place, so is it with every other spirit development, which transmigrates with the failure of its form. And these forms each one fabricates for himself in accordance with the other nature of the desires. And this assumes the pure and the impure development, as it labours to carry out its longings. But if the nature grows too beautiful for the form, and too elevated for the sphere in which it lives, it lays aside that form and quits that sphere, and ascending higher, it assumes a higher form. But if the nature grows too impure for the form, and becomes too gross for the sphere in which it lives, it lays aside its form and quits that sphere, and dying descends into a lower form. And thus is it with the races of mankind, who are spirits making themselves visible by media, which media are their corporal bodies, to which they are conjoined by the soul principle. This soul is to is the bond or ligament which unites the spirit to the body. And when this ligament is dissolved away, then death ensures and separation. The body corresponds in all its power with the spirit which giveth it life. For the spirit hath fabricated the body for itself in perfect agreement with its nature. Hence the various powers and energies of man, his changing passions and inclinations, infused not by God at the creating moment, but by the spirits themselves into their organs. For as they develop themselves in precise conformity with their tempers, aspect, and tendencies, every energy that is in the brain of man is placed there by himself alone. Unjust it were in God to give men various powers, to favour some and to defraud others, to give a mighty intellect to one, and to bestow a puny understanding on another. God doeth not this wrong, but every man as he makes himself, and some are great, and some are base, because their spirits are great or base. And this, if he makes himself nobler than a man, lays aside his body, and leaves the earth, and ascends to a superior order of existence, and assumes development therein. But if he makes himself beneath a man, then laying aside his body, leaving the earth, he wanders into darkness, and lapses until he becomes within the cyclic law. So is this a way of explaining how those that suffer in this world, or those that die in righteousness or in youth or in innocence, that they literally have become too great for this earth, that they're too pure for it? So that death that we living experience or see or whatever, the ones that are living that see it happen, they see, murder or death. But to the person that's going through that, they're ascending into the higher sphere. So it's not the end for them, it's the beginning. It's the second birth. The birth of the spirit. Chapter 15. Right, I'll probably make this my last chapter because my throat's getting a bit sore. Chapter 15. Vision of the land of shadow. Then did mine eyes behold another deep valley. Wide was its entrance, vast and long were the approaches. Dark and silent was each vast recess. All who dwelt on land or on the sea brought offerings hither. Yet was not that deep valley filled? Ever it yawned for more. They whose hands produced iniquity, who laboured to bring forth evil, had there the fruit of their labours. The sinful fed upon their own crimes. There were corpses before the Lord of life. They perished from the face of nature. I beheld them minister to their own punishment, choosing out Satans from among themselves, and I looked in terror on that valley, where there was great perturbation, and the cry of the sad multitude, where the waters were troubled, the rivers of flame flowed through it, and these were mingled with the waters. And in these I saw the Satans plunge, and in the madness of an infuriated guilt. And I saw many spirits, and their voices rose to heaven accusingly. Then I besought him that would make known, who are these spirits? He answered, saying, These are they who have been trampled under the feet of men. They accuse their evildoers, until their seed shall perish from the earth. So in the book of Revelation, that will be the holy ones, saying how long till they have judged the earth. 6 angels, mighty as the solar sphere again, preside and watch over the land of shadow. And these are the names of the angels who watch in the vigil whereunto the Lord hath sent them. Uriel presides over the place itself, governing its terrors and tempests. And Raphael impels the wandering spirits. And Raguel punishes those among them who rebel. And Michael rewards those among them who do good. And Sarakiel leads them into other spheres. And Gabriel receives them at the Ikisat. These are the holy angels of splendour, who God hath set above the land of shadows. Then did I make a circuit, the most dreadful place, wherein nothing seemed to complete or uniform, but all was chaos, gloom, and cloud. The image of a mighty ruin, neither was the workmanship of heaven in this place, nor the beauty of a well-poised sphere, but all was vacuous desolation, and all was shadow, silence, and dismay. And looking upon the seven fires, bound in it great and rolling storms, I cried aloud, for what crimes have they been burned, and why have they been removed into this place? And one of the holy angels answered and said, Wherefore dost thou ask? These are they who have defied God, and they that do abide until the day be done. And after these things my spirit was concealed, it lay hidden for a while in heaven, with the children of the Holy Spirit of light. And they walked as if on burning fires, their robes and garments were of snow splendour, their countenances were crystal, and before their faces I saw 2 rivers of fire, glittering like the bright jacinth. Then did I fall down before the Lord of Spirits, but one of the splendours lifted me up. He bare me to a secret place. There did the spirit of Enoch lie concealed. O mortal, who art immortal, thou who in clay partakest of the eternal, is thy soul of force to pierce the dark? Canst thou read the hidden? Those things which I have seen on high, those things which I have unveiled, are to the slaves of earth a riddle, dark as the voices of the stars. Thou givest not thyself heart and soul, yea, and thine everlasting spirit unto their contemplation, labouring by day and meditating in the night, rejoicing earth and aiming after the spiritual. If thou dost not these things earnestly, praying also unto the Supreme of aid, for aid, know thou this, from me the messenger, never shalt thou read their meaning. Thou shalt not think and still strive. But the dawn of light shall not reach thee. Thou shalt be as one who, while immortal, labours in hard to soar into the sun. But if abandoning all earthly things, thou givest up thy whole nature to the search, to thy soul itself shall be light. Thy spirit shall partake of the wisdom of God. So yes, make the search of the spirit the number one thing in life. Don't make things in this world top priority. Most people I know just love life. There's nothing wrong with loving life, but we live in a wicked world, and trying to get ahead in a wicked world can only cause you to become wicked at some point. So it's better to focus on the future, the eternity, because all the wickedness has been put out in these early ages at the beginning of eternity, that we might get over them and have them in the back of our memories, but have nothing to do with them ever again. So this is an age where we're not supposed to enjoy life and fit in. We're supposed to seek the spirit and truth and stand up for it and bring others with us. So yeah, I'll leave it there for today. I'm now on to chapter 16, about halfway through. So this is part 1 of Enoch's, and I'll do a part 2 soon. And like I said, I'm not too certain. There's definitely bits in there that are by the Holy Spirit. You can, whether they're copied out of other books or whether he's received them through the Spirit, I don't know. I could probably guess that there's books. It's from books that we haven't seen, and part of it is from the Book of Enoch as well. But I don't know. That's just guessing. So I just wanted to share this today because there's stuff in there that isn't in the Book of Enoch, and it's really interesting. So I wanted you to all take the time to listen and to work out for yourself what you think. And I know that it is inspired by the Holy Spirit, because if you read into other things, when you try to divide the word of God and understand the earthly meaning, the carnal meaning, and the heavenly meaning, the spiritual meaning, you can do that with this book, And, you know, if you watch other channels of people saying that the word of God has reached them, and then like I've seen a lot of these channels on media lately where people are saying that Christ speaks directly with them and that they regularly post messages from Christ. Albeit it's really nice to have nice things said and all that, but it's not got the heavenly meaning in it, so it's not from Christ. And if people are claiming that they're hearing spirits, hearing Holy Spirit tell them things, then it might not be Christ. So just be warned and just beware. Stay strong. The Lord's coming soon, and this age will be gone forevermore, and we'll all get to sit at the feast and the wedding in happiness and joy, if God's willing. Bless you all. Take care, and I'll speak to you all soon.